It's been billed the test match of schools rugby, and we're down in the Western Cape in Paarl as our camera stretches across this wonderful field, this wonderful stadium, the Forest Street Stadium, that is always host to this match, seen as the biggest schoolboy rugby match in the world. Paarl Boys High, the home team this year, up against Paarl Gimnasium. But bearing in mind, this stadium basically represents not the school themselves. Of course, they've got their own fields, but they play at the stadium because of the size of the match. It's a wonderful day in Paarl, brilliant weather. It's warm enough, there's no rain and very little wind to speak of. So absolutely perfect. 20,000 people who are packed into this stadium, and it's a great derby tradition, played over 100 years. And well, there's only 4 matches that are played on the day, and quite often that's a good thing, especially if it's been raining. But if you have a look at recent encounters and the history of contests between these two teams, the margin of difference is averaged at 5 points. So that tells you that every game is a big one. There's been very few where it's been a runaway victory for either team. That's Derek Swart, the headmaster of Paarl Boys High, just being introduced to the foe for the day, which the players that are not at his school. And behind him, Eddie Bateman, the headmaster of Paarl Gymnasium. We'll have a look at that. Paarl Gymnasium, they've only lost 1 match this season, and really their recent form has been quite terrific. They've scored plenty of points. On a few occasions had quite a few scored against them as well, but they know that today's game is the big one in many ways. So a big supporter base for a team that's just lost 1 match this season, as I said, playing against a team that hasn't lost any games. So these are number 1 and number 2 in schools rugby in South Africa. Paarl Boys High, the number 1 school, and Paarl Gymnasium, the number 2. Could you ask for a better contest? Well, certainly the old boys, the supporters, the whole of the town of Paarl is divided into the north and south. And they tend to stick to their same territories every time they come down for this great derby.
Jan, 2, 3.
Cheerleaders need a little bit of energy too, don't they? Well, that's a wonderful rendition there of the Paarl Gymnasium anthem, and you would have seen a lot of girls in that crowd too. They've had girls at their school since 1964. Paarl Boys High, just a boys-only school, and the balloons are traditionally released at the conclusion of the anthem. There's a portrait of every player that's on the field that's been brought out by some of the boys, and these are traditions that have been continued for a number of years. And you would have seen the results there of Paarl Boys High. Also had an excellent season once again, although a very tough match they had against Sachs last week, winning by those 28 points to 13, but the score wasn't really a true reflection of that particular match. Well, the other visitors are captained by Zach Berger, and I really look forward to the battle of the two number 8s. Miller Ace, who's in the South African schools team, at number 8 there for Paarl Gimnasium, and Kanyan Kusane at number 8 for Paarl Boys High. There's the captain, and what a day for him too, and such an important one too. So many things can happen in a derby. There's no clear favourites, of course. And Paarl Boys High, 8 boys that played in the Craven Week, and all 8 of them in the South African schools team, including that front row there beside note Jooste and Neetling. They'll be captained by Salman Murat, one of the 8 players that played in this encounter last year. So they've got a lot of players that have the feel of what this derby is all about. Just 3 players from Paarl Gym who were in this occasion in 2015. That was a game that was won by Paarl Boys High by 16 points to 10. Well, our referee for today's match is Egon Seconds. Well, Egan Seconds played those 99 matches for Western Province on the right wing, and just a wonderful occasion for him to be Gareth White alongside me. And as a Rondebosch Boys High School fly half, you would have played against these two teams, but more importantly, you were at Craven Week this year, Gareth, and some real quality that we have on the field.
No, absolutely, Gavin, and of course that quality will count for naught in a derby like this, because it's whoever can handle the pressure the best, as we see Paarl Boys get their restart mixed up right from the get-go, and this just might be a banana peel for the men in blue. Paarl Gym, you've heard little coming out of their camp for the last week or so, and they are most dangerous when you underestimate this Paarl Gym side, and you do so at your peril. And you see the pack weight for that SA Schools front row beside Jooste and Neetling, 812 kilograms. And the second row of Murat, who's the captain.
Well, there'll be a lot of passion as well in this game, a lot of adrenaline besides the skill factor that'll come into play with so much quality on this field. This really is the showcase, and as I said earlier, seen as the test match of schoolboy rugby, the biggest schoolboy derby in the world.
Well, this is the second scrum, and last week Paarl Boys were really put under the cosh by Sachs, especially at scrum time, and they would have wanted to rectify that going into this afternoon's clash.
Such a big build-up to this game. Well, that's a tight-end one there by Paarl Gimnasium, and that's not a good start this for the champions, Paarl Boys High. Say champions, the number 1 team in the country. Poor kick-off, and then losing that scrum. Gareth White was talking about how Sachs applied pressure on the Paarl Boys High scrum last week, and I'm sure that Paarl Gimnasium would have taken note of that. So Theo Boshoff here with the ball in hand. He in fact played fullback in last year's encounter. He's at fly half today for his school, and makes sure of his touch finder.
Well, the crowd, they've certainly packed in here, and you're either in the blue camp or the yellow and maroon. There's no in between on Derby Day in August here down in Paarl.
Well, it's been a whole week of build-ups with all sorts of capping ceremonies and buzz and balloons and boerewors and you name it, plenty of that. Paarl Gym pride themselves on their pack too. They have a very, very big pack of forwards. Adrian Ludik, Raymond Nell at lock for them. 2 big boys, so there could be a good contest there too against Salman Murat and Yivi Loubsha. Well, there'll be no love lost at breakdown point either. That's for certain.
Well, it's one apiece at the breakdown. Both sides conceding penalties. And now Ryan Lombard will look to carve out some territory. He's got a win that will assist him from behind, and he's make sure of his touch finder.
I was actually wondering about that breeze, Gareth. Yeah, you're right. It's just slightly at the back of the Paarl Boys High team, and it's not very strong though, but enough to for the Flyers to use it effectively. Here's Lombard now with a pass outside, and he's got Henry van Heerden and Manny Russ at centre three-quarter. One of the things that's impressed me about Paarl Boys High this season has been the incredibly good and well-organised defence, besides their attacking abilities. They certainly have been well scribed. So Paarl Gim on the front foot here, courtesy of a good carry up there. And the width of the field now, here comes Miller Ace. Big number 8. In fact, he could even play in the lock position. He's 106 kilograms, a big fellow in the SA Schools team. Carried up by Raymond Nell. Burger. A change of direction there from Bjorn van Zyl, who's coming from the fullback position. Gareth, you mentioned it up front as well, that is there going to be a banana peel here today? Expectations that Paarl Boys High will win this game. Certainly, Paarl Gim look up for the fight. A long pass now, another chance for Nell. Key thing is, can they bridge this great defence of Paarl Boys High?
Well, certainly coming around the corner with passion and pace are Paarl Gim, and they've won a penalty in a kickable position. Going same side, that was a big carry up from the centre. Vian van Niekerk, he bumped off Reese Poseidon out. And the penalty was for Neethling being offside at the breakdown. And a relatively simple opportunity now for Boshoff.
It's just the retrieving player's got to give me one more step. Just one more.
Well, you do often find as well in derbies, you know, those early encounters when people just need to lose a little bit of that adrenaline, that mistakes are made at times. But this is a bit of a worry here with Janus Swart, who took a real knock. He's been attended to for the last couple of minutes, and just wondering exactly what his problem is, but he certainly doesn't look comfortable. In the meanwhile, it's Theo Boshoff with the uprights in his sights. A little curl around, and he's got those first points.
Well, just to start that, Paarl Gim would have wanted as Janus Swart. Unfortunate for him as his afternoon has come to an abrupt halt. But Paarl Gim have taken the ascendancy in this contest and have hit the front by 3-0.
So pretty deep kick in then. Some good big tall fellas to make sure that they catch properly. This is Boshoff's kick downfield. Tucky Abrams on the left wing for Paarl Boys High. That's a great kick that, and a good chase too, coming from fullback Johnny Lombard, another SA Schools player. He's been a revelation for them too. Another one who has scored a lot of points too for his team. Now Boshoff's kick finds Abrahams.
No, it's fine. Off the foot.
Michael Visser up very quickly, but it is delayed possession. This for Paarl Boys High. You'll probably see a lot of Manny Russ in this game. He's the number 13 for Paarl Boys High, another SA Schools player. It's for the second year running, in fact, and this time it's Henry van Heerden that's absolutely thumped into the deck. So offside problem here for Paarl Gimnasium, and an opportunity for Boys High.
Number 9.
Oh, good continuity shown by Paarl Boys, and they've won themselves a penalty from about 35 in front. Cynical play from Paarl Gim as the slap down came from Zach Burger. And now it's given Johnny Lombard an opportunity to level matters up at Forest Street.
Now His kicking ability is well known, but certainly his attacking ability too. He's a great all-round fullback. Is Gianni Lombard. Well, he's absolutely rifled that over as Lombard. So good start for the two kickers.
Well, it's just the tight start that we expected. Both sides conceding kickable penalties.
You can play when you're ready.
So change of direction here for Boshoff. This is good organisation initially, but not great catching that from Paarl Gimnasium, Boys High rather. Seemed to be a little bit sluggish there.
Now, Gavin, clever tactic from Theo Boshoff. He changed the side that he wanted to get the restart going. He found space in between Takir Abrams and Rayan Lombard. And they've won themselves a line-out in a very favourable position at Paarl Gim.
Wait. I need someone there. Let's go. Let's go.
As we said earlier, just 5 points
Stay there.
average difference over 100 years tells you that matches are always very, very tight between these two schools. Up for it, Raymond Nell. No problem with a catch. Great ball this for carry up from Björn van Niekerk, who's a big fellow at inside centre. And a penalty advantage now for Paarl Gimnasium. Almost from exactly the same position of the previous one that Theo Boshoff made sure of.
Penalty for the tackler not releasing, and another opportunity for Theo Boshoff. Quite remarkable to think that these two sets of players are going hammer and tongs, and 10 of them will represent South African schools in a little over 5 or 6 days' time. So really, isn't it fantastic to see that both these sides are really up for the occasion. A great camaraderie between these two outfits.
They also know their history too, you know. If you look at all the Springboks that have played, 20 of them, 23 of them rather for Paarl Gim, 18 for Paarl Boys High. It's a high kick, and it's a handsome kick from Theo Boshoff. There's so many people packed into the stadium, but so many of them have got a role to play too, besides the cheerleaders. The bands are there too, and there's plenty of action, of course. I haven't seen any of the dancing girls yet, but I'm sure they'll be around too. All of those that carried out the portraits and let off the balloons. Just wonderful. And of course, it's not just about rugby and a first-team rugby match. There are plenty of other games that have been played. Of course, they play hockey too. And so it's a sporting week this year in Paarl. Well, the battle of the two coaches, too. Peter Rousseau, former Springbok, who coaches the Paarl Gymnasium team, and Sean Erasmus, who's done such a great job with Paarl Boys High. What are the tactics that they've discussed this week? What are the opportunities? Just you can certainly see that Paarl Gymnasium have come out with the afterburners on from the start. But of course, Paarl Boys High have got so much to play for. Trying to defend, of course, that wonderful record of theirs of 34 matches unbeaten. Now, the width of the field, an attempt to use that, taken in by Captain Salman Murat. You see that Manuel Russ is often used as a man to try and probe for space in the midfield.
So what Paarl Gim are doing, Gavin, they're not committing numbers at the breakdown. They're just getting numbers on the feet to contain the runners of Paarl Boys, the big fellas coming around the corner. And they seem to have nullified this attacking foray from Paarl Boys initially. And because Paarl boys are sending 3 or 4 players into the breakdown, and Paarl Gym have numbers on their feet, they're always going to have the ascendancy in defence.
Is there scope for Lombard to fly half and Michael Visser at scrum half for Paarl boys to maybe just probe for those corners on the odd occasion? Both teams have been comfortable carrying the ball and not kicking it, mostly. From the base of the scrum, Zak Burger.
Okay, got it.
And on the field is Brian Buitendach, who's in place of Janus Swart in the flank position. But, well, the penalties are starting to mount.
And this time it's for Paarl Gym going off their feet. Now, Paarl boys need to find a mechanism to get themselves going. Can they conjure up something from the line out? Work it into space and get Gianni Lombard or Kanyan Kasana in those wide channels and create space for them.
Play on.
Well, Lannard is good. It's a brilliant take that as well from Reese Besaidnout. Another SA Schools player this year at loosehead prop. Now Manny Rass into a little bit of space. Not enough to get through though. Visser, Lombard, Franke Horn taking it back inside. I think the width of the field is what they really want to use, because that's what they like, Paarl boys are, when they've got a little bit of room to move in. I think that ball might have gone forward. But I think tactically, Paarl Gimnasium have really got it right in these first 14 minutes.
As we see, Paarl boys being bundled into touch. Adam Netling this time.
Dominate. 5-5.
And defensively, Paarl Gym are putting the heat on Paarl boys. They just need to settle down, do boys high, and get into their rhythm.
Keep going, keep
Big
going.
contested line-out time. Sion de Toy gets it straight.
Keep going back. Blue.
We spoke about the lock forwards. We spoke about the 2 number 8s. Not much room to move in there for Mala du Plessis. Another SA Schools player on the left wing for Gymnasium. Goes off through the hands quickly beyond for Nika Christopher Willems. There's a lot of intensity, one feels, coming from both teams, but perhaps marginally a little bit more from Gymnasium. Over the top from Zak Burger. It's great positional play by Lombard. He's got all the space in the world, and a very good kick from him. Tight up against the touchline. Just spoke about those kicks just now, Gareth, that they could maybe employ, but of course you've got to hold on to the ball too, so a turnover on that occasion.
Well, a handless kicking from both these outfits. Zak Burger decided to pursue the blind side and put the chip over.
Sorry.
Well, they had a pretty good victory last week, 47-17 against Stellenberg, did Gymnasium. And we spoke about that tough match against Sachs, which Paarl boys won 28-13.
Fine.
Well, they've already conceded a scrum in this match. In terms of set pieces, Paarl boys high.
So we both sides will hold it. So I'll be cut this on it out.
Big tussle up front. Have a look at that South African Schools front row there. Adam Neetling, Daniel Jooste and Reese Besaidnout up against Adrian Staples, Sion de Toy and Andre Boyson. Adrian Staples is a twin. In fact, his twin brother is Francois, is on the bench today. So will he get an opportunity to come on?
Balls out.
Lombard. Change of direction there for Henry van Heerden. And the tendency might be to keep trying to play it back inside if there is not a massive defensive threat that's posed against you. And I still think that Paarl boys high's best efforts are always when they do play wider. Besaidnout. Quickly closed down. There was Lombard by Vian Vernicke.
Tackle!
Now Michael Visser, who had an excellent game in last year's encounter between these teams. Now Lombard, the little kick down towards the corner. It's a big chase that for Vian Vernicke. Outstanding kick. He's got such good vision as Gianni Lombard reads the play correctly and is very accurate in his execution.
Okay.
That's a right tactic. Put the ball in behind Paarl Gimnasium, get it off the line, turn them in defence and get Murat and Kora to contest their line out on their own line.
Nominate 4.
Lombard, of course, a hurdler and a cricketer of repute, so he's got good hands, good hand-eye coordination, and he's quick too. Important throw in this for Sian du Toit. Gymnasium have lost it by the looks of things. No, yep, they have lost it. Now Lombard, the long pass brings in Lombard. Bear in mind there's a Lombard and a Lombard. One with a double A and one with a single A. Visser quickly through the hands from Lombard onto Franco Horn. They're a very well-drilled side.
Tackle.
Boys are. They would need to be #1 in South Africa. Franco Horn, last stepping from him. Got into a really good position. Midfield ruck there. Well, Lombard has decided, let's take 3 points. They're on offer. And let's get level with Paarl Gimnasium.
Well, that's exactly what you want in the opposition 22 to come away with points. And this time, it's via the boot of Gianni Lombard in the form of a drop goal. Good decision-making by the SA Schools fullback. And we all square after 20 minutes down at Forest Street.
Yep, that's no surprise given the history of these contests. Good kick in from Boshoff, a really good one, tight up against the touchline. Here's Eugene Johannes, he's had no opportunities really yet. And here's his chance. Ball has tended to move to the left-hand side of the field more than anywhere else. Visser, they've got numbers here. Boys Van Heerden going to ground. Well, they're certainly getting a lot of possession, Gareth, and I think accurately summed up too that Boys are not committing too many players to the breakdown, so they've got a lot of defenders out wide.
Good work by Eugene Johannes, showing some neat skills to pirouette out of the would-be tacklers from Paarl Gim. And now if Lombard can get this ball somewhere deep inside that Paarl Gim 22-meter area, you'd fancy the men in blue to come away with points.
He can. That's a pretty good one. And I suppose with that bit of a breeze at their back, they would really like to try and get a few more points on the board. So Daniel Juster, not many opportunities to throw it in the line-out. Does a quick one. Got Eugene Johannes close to him. Charles Surdane also very much part of the picture. Oh, that's excellent play because they're attacking from way behind the advantage line were Boys High. Beside note. Not an easy man to bring down, big Reese beside note. Just wonder sometimes, Gareth, as you see Manny Ras going in there, maybe does at times tend to perhaps do a little bit too much on his own, but he has the ability to slice through the smallest of gaps. Visser. It's a good angled run, a lovely offload too, but well, it doesn't go to hand, so it's going to be a turnover.
Number 2. Got to come through the gate.
Well, it's a quick take here from Theo Boshoff,
but it
wasn't from the right position. So he's going to have to come back and take a penalty kick and choose which side he's going to kick to. He'll probably come the near side, I would think.
Oh, Daniel Jooste made an incisive break and then looked for the offload. Unfortunately, it didn't go to hand, as we see possession and territory stats heavily in favor of the team wearing blue and white hoops, as Theo Bosso finds a safe touch. But Jooste just couldn't get that offload away and then infringed at the breakdown. And frustrating for the coaching staff, because you're in a favorable position. You want to come away with points in a tight game. Paarl Gim are still not out of the woods at the moment.
Blue, keep moving.
Shorter line out this time for Sian du Toit to take aim at. This time it goes to the back.
That's a more.
Nico Martin's part of the mix.
Three, get out. Three, get
It's
out.
a good effort this from Gymnasium.
Say more, say more.
Really have carried that a good 10-15 meters, and they're going to win the penalty from that.
Collapsing more.
Well, they've taken it very quickly, and
Not 10,
there could be an advance of 10 meters.
Advantage for not 10.
The defense was within the 10-meter, so it'll be another penalty. Well called by the referee. Not quite kickable, I would think, but Gareth, maybe the corner flag. They've thrown a lot of balls in at the line out.
10.
Well, from that last ball, why wouldn't you want to go for the corner flag? As Boshoff has found touch just on that 22-meter area. Great maul from Paarl Gim. The maul defense from Paarl boys left a little to be desired. And I want to sort that area of the game out. Well, Salman Marat and Reese Poseidon and co. They need to sack this maul to Paarl boys and try stem it at source.
Well, they try at the back of the line. It was not a great throw-in. So it was a knock-on from Paarl boys' eye. So it'll be a scrum. So they've still got the advantage, have Gymnasium. Just wonder too, Gareth, you know, look at the handling errors there. Not too many of them. Muller Ace, such a big fellow at number 8 for Gymnasium, and an opportunity maybe for a pick-up and carry from him.
Absolutely, and you've seen the tackles made. 44 by Paarl Gim to the 26 of Paarl boys. That's a real concern, because it will tire their players out.
There was no stability from the start.
But one feels that Paarl boys have just played too much rugby in the wrong areas of the field. Kick for the corners, do what Lombard did, get it on the boot, roll it through and get in amongst Paarl Gim. That tactic has worked well for them.
Stay in, stay in.
Zach Burger. Boshoff, you see how they're getting over that advantage line or Gymnasium when they have the opportunity. So it's retreat for Paarl boys' eye and a test of their defensive capabilities, which have been very good this season.
Run away.
Strong run here from Muller Ace. Well, a try is a bonus. It's a big prize if you can get it. And have they got it? Yep. Evan Seconds' arm is high. And it's Paarl Gymnasium and Zach Burger who scored the try by the looks of things.
No. There's no TMO. Listen to me. I saw the grounding. I saw it before you tried to shove him back. And secondly, Salman, I'm going to tell you this once. If that number 8 says words like that again, that will be his day for him.
Good run from Muller. He took it to ground with 3 or 4 defenders, and then Zach Burger decided to go down the blind side through an outrageous dummy that everybody bought. The pillar wasn't in place, and he managed to scuttle in for the first try of this derby.
Happy with the grounding there.
And Egan Seconds was happy with the grounding. And Paarl Gim have hit the front yet again.
And I'd say deservedly so too. After 27 minutes, they haven't had territory, they haven't had possession, but they've certainly played with a lot of intensity.
This is Boshoff's trickiest kick of the afternoon. Can he bisect the uprights and give Paarl Gimnasium some breathing space?
Well, it's a reasonable thump, but it's gone across the face of uprights. Still, it's a 5-point lead.
And there you see Zakberga getting it on the whitewash. Egan Seconds was in a good position and awarded the 5-pointer.
So Rayon Lombard with the kick in. It's a pretty good one, that too. Nice hanging kick, brilliantly fielded there by Boys High.
No,
Mentioned the number of tackles that Boys High have made, but one has a feeling as well that they've been a lot more accurate in the execution, generally speaking, of play. Taki Abrams coming in from the left wing. Hasn't had a lot of ball yet.
So let go, 7.
Quick pass there, and Muller du Plessis did well to come back in field, give his team another option. This is Sion de Toy. Now Burger with a long pass out to Adrian Ludik. Ludik holding on the deck there, so unfortunately a lost opportunity that for Gymnasium.
That's brilliant work at the breakdown point by the SA Schools flanker and Charles Sardane. He got himself into a favorable position. He had all the rights to the ball, and wonderful work by the open side flanker. Takira Abrams taking it to contact, and look at the work coming in by the inside centre, Vian van Niekerk. And then this was a turnover coming. So Sardane takes him to ground. Good body positioning, and he's won his side the penalty.
Doesn't it make a big difference too when you've got someone who's kicking and kicking distance and getting you into a favourable position? When you get a penalty, you really want an advantage from that, and you want to kick so that there's a line out close to the opposition goal line or closer. And Lombard did well with that kick to get it out. So before half time, with just around about 5 minutes left, it's Paarl Boys High that desperately want to try and score a try in this first half.
An elementary error coming in from the hooker and Daniel Leuster. And there's some delight on those faces of the Paarl Gym supporters. They'll be relatively pleased with the way their side have gone in the first half. Some food for thought for those wearing blue and white. They'll need to really get their attack sorted out. Those one-off runners aren't proving fruitful for the men in the blue strip. And if they can get it into the wider areas, one feels they might just break the shackles of Paarl Gym.
Well, perhaps there's 3 words, and they belong at the moment to Paarl Gymnasium, and that's accuracy and execution. And that might be part of the message at halftime. Seen a number of lineouts. Look at the scrums there. Paarl Boys High won't be happy with having lost that first scrum of the match. Now Burger. Great positional play again from Johnny Lombard. Has that kick? Oh, that's gone way too far. So they're going to come back some distance.
Just overcooking it was Gianni Lombard. The idea was right, the execution just let him down.
Move away, move away.
Well, the position of this field too, and the sun will be into the eyes of Paarl Gym in the second half. Most of the line-out throw-ins belonging to that man in picture, Dutroy, for Gymnasium. Malais used at the back. Excellent ball for Bosov. A lovely little knock-off there from Vian van Niekerk. He's an abrasive customer at inside centre for Paarl Gym.
Ball is there, ball is there.
Very slow delivery that for Zakberga.
No, it's backwards, backwards. Tackle was good.
Now it's Christopher Willemse trying to find his way through it. Initially effective rucking, and then lots of good efforts there from Charles Serdane. Now Burger, the one thing Paarl Boys High don't want is to concede another try before half-time.
Leave it, you're off your feet, you're off your feet.
Nicely taken by Ludik, and then on to Buitendach. And eventually it comes to naught. But I'll tell you what, Gareth, I would say that Paarl Gimnasium are going to go into half-time and say, guys, we had a good first half. We're happy with it. We need to continue playing like that in the second.
And they'll have a bit of a breeze at their back. So tactically, they want to use that to good effect. As you mentioned, they don't want to concede points either of these sides before the half-time hooter.
Line-out's over. More, that's a more.
And those line-out stats, 4 from 4 for Paarl Boys and 5 from 7 from Paarl Gimnasium.
That's a very good carry up. That's lovely play that by Paarl Boys High, but then unfortunately Daniel Justin not able to hold on to that ball. But spoke about accuracy and execution, Gareth, and there's a prime example of it. You know, twice the man in picture has dropped a ball, unfortunately.
Well, it's a funny thing, pressure, what it does to people. And Daniel Justin, unfortunately, just couldn't hold on. Now, great attacking opportunity for Paarl Gym. They've got the extra man on attack, and Takir Abrams is hanging slightly back on defense on that left wing area. Can they conjure up something? Their talisman has been the inside center for Nikuk, and let's see what he does.
Well, it's outside centre, Christopher Willemse. That's the recipient on this occasion.
Now get out there.
Good quick ball that for Burger.
No, you're off your feet.
Well, they haven't had a huge amount of possession there in the first half, Gymnasium, but have a look at the scoreboard, and they're going to remind a lot of people about that. So advantage. Yeah, it's only a scrum advantage, but well, maybe they can make the most of it. The call of advantage over comes from Egon Seconds, and that surely must be half-time, and so it is, called in by the referee. And well, it's been a really tough first half, and just the one try in it then from Paarl Gimnasium that belongs to Burger, and the rest of it have been kicks from Lombard and Boshoff. So confirmation of halftime at Forest Street. Paarl Boys High 6, Paarl Gimnasium 11.
And there you see the stats. Well, the one concerning situation for Paarl Boys is the balls that they've battled to sack. Possession has been relatively even. Handling error 6 from Paarl Boys High, 2 from Paarl Gimnasium, and it's that more stat 4 from Paarl Gym to the 1 of Paarl Boys. That'll be a real talking point for the men from Paarl Boys in that halftime circle. So there you have it at halftime. It is 11 points to 6 down here at Forest Street, and we anticipate a great second half.